Hi folks, Frank Connors again. Hey, it's Halloween. Got to be one of the most fun times of the year, right? So I'm reading this morning, it's called The Halloween Spook, and it's about our days up in Bodenham all those years ago. Rumor has it around Bodenham that the old Connors house on Center Street is haunted. Jane and I went to town for the Celebrate Bodenham show a few weeks ago, and everyone was asking us if we had heard the news. We were as surprised as the next guy. First, I still will always call it the old Rideout place, that rambling federal-style cape with attached L, with attached barn, that Jane and I poured our energy and our fortunes into for 35 years. At 175 years of age, it came with all the glory and all the baggage of an antique New England cape. When it was first built in 1835, the house was a working farm at the end of the road. Today it sits near the center of a vibrant little village. When we moved in during the fall of 1975, the place had no central heat, no hot water, just a very little electricity, and the toilet was a hole in the floor out in the barn. It was everything we wanted, and we went to work on it. Yes, a place like this has history. A veteran named Levi came home from the Civil War, lived there for a few years before tragically ending his own life. You can see his grave over in the village burying ground just across the brook from the place. A few feet away in the same cemetery, you can also find the grave of T.T. Rideout, a family nephew who was killed at Gettysburg. At least 2 funerals were conducted from this house, meaning yes, dead bodies reclined in the living room, at least for 24 hours. Across the road, the house where Emily Chase was brutally murdered in 1978, still indoors. Over the hill, there were 2 other homes where 2 other folks had committed suicide. So, for a pleasant old house on Center Street, there is a dark side. I do believe that spirits exist, but I also believe it takes a very special and sensitive person to contact them, and most agree that there is very little bit that's sensitive about me. I have friends who will walk into an old place and tell me immediately there are spirits about. Our daughter Abby remembers hearing slamming doors, keys stuck in the old piano, lights flickering on and off, and creaking chairs when she's asked about growing up in the old Rideout house. Yes, Abby is very much more sensitive than me. My father-in-law Norman used to tell of getting booted out of bed and of hearing footfalls and voices in his old empty house where we now live. But that's another story, a story that would compel me to admit that Norman is more sensitive than me. Halloweens in Bodenham are always special. I was one of the guys who helped do the haunted house back in the years when the old Coombe School was vacant. There was always a parade of costume school kids walking the block around from the community school, and our place was always close to ground zero when it came to trick-or-treaters on Halloween night. Seems like we'd always start with a bushel of apples and 20 pounds of candy, and come the day after, I'd be hard-pressed to find even one piece of chocolate left in the house. Of course, we used to decorate the place for Halloween. Our lawn might be littered with pumpkins, booby-trapped treasures, signs, hay bales, corn mazes, lights, perhaps even a blood-spattered mannequin in a good year. There were several years when I'd dress like a scarecrow, sit in a lawn chair and wait motionless for some unsuspecting little kid to walk past. Then I'd jump up, screaming bloody murder and dancing a mean old jig. Those kids would jump right there out of their boots. It was wonderful. Or I might wait inside our house, get a knock on the door, and greet the kids on my hands and knees, wearing this awful ghoulish mask that I treasured until Jane finally threw it away. More than one kid was confronted that way and decided right then and there on my top doorstep that the candy would be better at the house across the street. One year, I made the mistake of reaching out and grabbing this little kid by his outfit and pulling him back inside through our door. His mother was waiting not far away, watching from the street, leaped up those steps and almost ripped off more than my mask. So now it's been 4 years since Jane and I lived in that great old house. Our new place is so far up a dark driveway in the middle of nowhere, even the grandkids usually skip us. I have to admit that one of the things that I really miss about that old Bodenham is on Halloween night. Describing the place where we used to live to a young mother and to her teenage daughters during the Bodenham Day celebration, one of the girls offered an exciting little peep and said, "Oh, I know that place. We used to pass it every Halloween because there's a mean old guy that lived in there." Jane whacked me with one of her annoying little slaps. "I guess that officially makes you a Halloween spook," she told me. Thanks for listening, and happy Halloween.